This tutorial will show you how to fully utilize the cart functionality inside of SunshineMLSPlus. We're going to begin by logging in, and we're going to do a couple of searches so we can show you the functionality of the cart. Let's imagine that you have a client from out of town who is deciding to move down to the Naples area, and they are looking for a couple of specific things. They're looking for a single-family home for themselves as a primary residence that is in a golfing community. So we'll just take a look at a saved search that we have here that we've already conducted for this fictitious client, John Smith. And he's looking for something in the Naples areas. He's looking for active properties. His budget is between $700,000 and $1.4 million. He wants a single family home, and he wants a golfing community basically. He wants to get out on the golf course and play golf right in the community. So we have 152 properties that match that specific set of criteria. So this is too many properties to send to John right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to narrow them down. And we're going to take a look at the 152 properties. We're going to sort by beds and baths and take a look at properties and how many bedrooms they have. And we'll choose several properties. So we can look at the details, see what the property is like. You can go through the properties by paging through them. But if you're interested in a particular property, you would check that particular property as something that is of interest or that you think that your client would be interested in. And as you keep checking properties, they will be dropped into your cart. So we'll check a few more properties and drop them into our cart, and then we'll take a look at our cart. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see that all of the properties that you've selected are now part of your cart. So what you can do is at this point is take a look at the cart and do several things with it. But really what you need to do for John is also locate a condo that he will use as an investment property and rent it seasonally, or he can also use it as a condo that family and friends can stay when they come down to visit. So completely different search. John wants something in a high-rise building in very specific areas, and he had a specific budget in mind. And so we have another saved search for John's condo. And so what we'll take a look at here is that he had some very specific geo areas in mind. He's looking for active properties. His budget this time is $600,000 to $1 million. He wants a high-rise building, and he wants the unit to be on a 3rd floor or greater. So this gives us 96 properties that are currently in the system. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at those 96 properties because we don't want to send everything to John. So as the system searches and shows you the 96 properties, again, you would take a look at the details, perhaps sort the properties by bedrooms again to take a look and maybe narrow it down to 3 bedrooms or more. So we see that there are a lot of properties with 3 bedrooms, at least 3 bedrooms. So we'll take a look at the details for some of these properties. And again, as you take a look at the details, you can decide which ones you think John would like. So we'll just select several properties. Now again, as you select, these properties get dropped into your cart. But what's important to notice is that the cart also contains the single family properties that John is interested in. So instead of sending John 2 emails or sending them 2 sets of printouts, what you can now do is you've narrowed down the results for exactly what John is looking for and what you think he's looking for in both the condo for investment and the single family home that he'll use as his primary residence. So at this point, you need to view the several listings that you've selected. So they're all in your session cart, and what you can do is if you click the view button inside of the cart, your results will now become only those listings that you've selected as something that John is interested in. At this point, you can take all of these results and email them to John, or you can further narrow down this list. So if you think that this particular property is not really a good fit anymore, you can just uncheck it and it will disappear from your cart right here, and keep unchecking properties that you don't think are a good fit anymore. Once you've done selecting properties that you think are of interest, you can print them by clicking the print button. And what you'll be asked is, what type of a report do you wish to print for these particular properties? So for example, we'll say that we want to print the customer report for all listings that are in our cart. Remember that we don't want to do all search results because we've unchecked one listing that we don't think is a good fit for John. So we just want the listings that are in the cart. So we're going to click print. So once the system has generated the printable reports, you'll see them on the screen, and all you need to do is click on the print button or use the file print functionality of your browser. So once you've printed the results, you can just close this window and you will be taken back to your cart. So at this point, we're back at our cart screen. We also want to email these results to John. So what we're going to do is we're going to, out of our cart, click on the email button, and we have John as one of our contacts in our list. So we're just going to start writing John and select John Smith. We're going to put in a subject, Naples Properties. And you can at this point write a message to John and say something to the effect, "Hi John, these are the properties that we discussed. Irene." And then you can choose to send yourself a message, a copy of this message, and you can choose what type of a report you want John to be able to take a look at. So you want him to take a look at the customer financial report and also have access to perhaps the public records report for the properties that you're sending him. You want to send him all of the listings in the cart, again, not all the search results because we've gotten rid of one listing that we don't think is a good fit for John. And then you'll simply click send. At this point, your email has gone off to John, and when John checks his email, he will see an email from you telling him about the properties. So what we can take a look at is the properties that you've selected. So we can take a look at what the email looks like. So this is the email that John received, and he'll just click on a link and he'll be taken to a page that has the properties that you've selected for him. So what he can do at this point is take a look at all of the details just like you would inside of the MLS system. John has access to the customer financial report and the public records report, which are the two types of reports that we selected to send to John. He can take a look at the details, and he can take a look at the photos for the particular property and scroll through the available photos. He can go back to the details. He can also use his cart functionality, but his cart functionality allows him to just simply narrow down the results or print the results that he's seeing on the screen. So we'll go back to the MLS, and at this point you've printed the results for yourself or for John. You've emailed John these results. So all that's left to do is to save this cart so that you know for future reference which properties you've sent to John already or which properties John has looked at. So we're going to save this particular cart by clicking Save, and we're going to call it John Smith Properties. And we're going to attach it to John's record in our contacts. So we'll just say John Smith. And we're going to click Save. And at this point, if you take a look back at your residential search screen and you take a look at your saved searches, you'll see that there's a cart called John Smith Properties. And if you select it and click View, what you'll see is all of the properties that you've worked with John on. This concludes our tutorial on the functionality of the listings cart.